250 Houthi fighters, 30 speedboats, anti-ship missiles, RPGs, automatic weapons, one coordinated swarm attack against the most advanced destroyer in the U.S. Navy, the USS Zumwalt. $3 billion of cutting-edge technology, designed to fight peer adversaries, about to face asymmetric warfare at its most desperate. The Houthis called it Operation Red Sea Martyrdom. They promised to sink an American warship and rally the Islamic world. What they got instead was 17 minutes of precision annihilation. Not one Houthi survived. This is how technological superiority turns courage into catastrophe. September 19, 2025, 2:23 a.m. Red Sea. 47 miles west of Hodeidah, Yemen, the USS Zumwalt conducted freedom of navigation operations. DDG-1000, the Navy's most advanced surface combatant. 15,500 tons, 600 feet long, a stealth destroyer with a radar cross-section smaller than a fishing boat. Armed with 2 advanced gun systems, 80 vertical launch cells loaded with missiles, a crew of 147, and the most sophisticated combat management system ever installed on a warship. The Zumwalt's mission was straightforward. Show the flag, demonstrate American presence, protect commercial shipping from Houthi attacks. The Red Sea had become a war zone. Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen had been attacking merchant vessels for months. Missiles, drones, speedboat swarms. International shipping companies demanded protection. The U.S. Navy answered. And tonight, the Houthis decided to test American resolve. Deep inside Yemen, Houthi military commanders planned their most ambitious operation. 250 fighters, volunteers eager for martyrdom. They'd been training for 6 weeks. Speedboat tactics, anti-ship missile crews, small arms coordination. The plan was simple: swarm tactics, launch from multiple beaches simultaneously, overwhelm the destroyer's defenses through sheer numbers. Even if 90% died, 10% reaching the ship meant victory. RPGs against the hull, explosives against the waterline, maybe one anti-ship missile hit. Damage the Zumwalt, claim propaganda victory, show the world that American naval power could be challenged. The Houthis assembled 30 speedboats, small craft, 15 to 20 feet long, fast, maneuverable. Each boat carried 8 to 10 fighters, armed with AK-47s, RPG-7s. Some boats mounted DSHK heavy machine guns, 12.7mm, Soviet-era, but effective. 3 boats carried Chinese-made C-701 anti-ship missiles, short range, 3 miles maximum, but potentially lethal if they hit. The total force represented everything the Houthis could scrape together for one massive attack. At 2:31 a.m., the speedboats launched from 3 separate beaches: Al-Khawka, Al-Tuhaita, and a small fishing village 12 miles south. 30 boats, 250 fighters. They formed 3 loose swarms. Each swarm targeted the USS Zumwalt from different angles: north, northwest, west. Coordinated assault. The boats accelerated, 30 knots, 40. Their drivers pushed the engines to maximum. Time to target, 12 minutes. But what the Houthis didn't know was that the USS Zumwalt had been tracking their preparations for 3 days. Surveillance drones, satellite imagery, human intelligence, signals intercepts. The U.S. Navy knew about the speedboat concentration, knew about the fighter mobilization, knew the attack was coming, and they'd prepared accordingly. If you want to see how the world's most advanced destroyer handles asymmetric threats, subscribe to Navy Force right now. We deliver tactical breakdowns that mainstream channels won't touch. At 2:33 a.m., the USS Zumwalt's ANSPY-3 radar detected the first speedboats. Range, 28 miles, multiple small contacts, high speed, converging bearing. The Combat Information Center's computer system immediately classified them: small craft, probable hostile, threat level, high. The tactical action officer studied the display. 30 contacts, coming from 3 directions. Classic swarm attack. He activated the ship's automated defense protocols. Commander Lisa Torres commanded the USS Zumwalt. A 17-year naval veteran, 3 combat deployments. She drilled this exact scenario 40 times. Speedboat swarms, asymmetric attacks, overwhelming numbers. The Zumwalt was designed for high-end warfare against China or Russia, but its systems worked just as effectively against low-tech threats. Maybe more effectively. Torres gave the order. Weapons free. Engage all hostile contacts. Authorization. Lethal force. The USS Zumwalt's first response was non-kinetic, electronic warfare, the ANSLQ-32 system activated. This isn't just defensive jamming, it's offensive electronic attack. The system identified Houthi communication frequencies, their handheld radios, their boat-to-boat coordination. Then it jammed everything. Powerful electromagnetic noise across the entire spectrum. The Houthi fighters lost communication instantly. The coordinated attack became 30 individual boats attacking blindly. At 2:36 a.m., the Houthi speedboats were 19 miles from the destroyer. Still closing fast. Still confident. Their fighters couldn't communicate, but they could see each other's boats. They maintained formation through visual contact. Ahead, the USS Zumwalt sat in the darkness. A black silhouette against blacker water. To the Houthis, it looked stationary, vulnerable, target waiting to be hit. They were wrong on all counts. Commander Torres activated the ship's advanced gun system. 2 AGS turrets, 1 forward, 1 aft. Each gun fires long-range land attack projectile, precision-guided munitions, range 63 miles. But tonight, they were loaded with something different. Multi-mission surface combatant ammunition, designed specifically for surface targets, like speedboats. Each round costs $25,000, guided by GPS and terminal homing, accurate to within 10 meters, and the Zumwalt carried 300 rounds. At 2:37 a.m., the forward AGS turret elevated. The automated fire control system calculated solutions for all 30 speedboats. Prioritized threats, allocated rounds, optimal firing sequence computed in 3 seconds. The gun fired. 1 round every 6 seconds. Precise, methodical, deadly. The 155mm shells arced through darkness. 30 seconds flight time. GPS guidance steered them toward targets. Terminal seekers activated in final seconds. The first shell hit a speedboat at 2:38 a.m. The boat was 16 miles from the destroyer. The guided projectile struck directly amidships. The explosion was devastating. 25-pound warhead. The speedboat disintegrated. 8 Houthi fighters killed instantly. Shrapnel shredded 2 adjacent boats. Another 12 fighters dead or wounded. 1 shell. 20 casualties. The mathematics of modern warfare. The AGS continued firing, round after round, every 6 seconds. The Houthi speedboats had no defense, no warning. They just exploded. One after another, the fighters couldn't understand what was happening. They saw boats ahead of them erupt in flames. Then more boats. Then more. No incoming missiles visible. No tracers. Just sudden death arriving from darkness. Panic spread through the swarm. What would you do if you were leading this Houthi attack? Type A if you'd continue forward. Type B if you'd retreat. Drop your tactical opinion in the comments. Some Houthi boats tried evasive maneuvers, sharp turns, zigzag patterns, useless. The GPS-guided shells didn't care about evasion. They corrected course automatically, tracked targets through maneuvers. One speedboat tried running parallel to shore. A shell hit it 30 seconds later. Another boat attempted maximum speed escape. Futile. The shells flew at supersonic speed. No escape. No survival. At 2:41 a.m., the AGS had destroyed 18 speedboats. 144 Houthi fighters dead, 12 boats remaining. They were now 11 miles from the destroyer, close enough to see the Zumwalt silhouette clearly, close enough for their anti-ship missiles to reach effective range. The 3 boats carrying C-701 missiles prepared to fire. This was their last chance. Their only chance. Get missiles away before dying. The USS Zumwalt's combat system detected missile launch preparation, thermal signatures, radar returns. The tactical action officer didn't wait for actual launch. He engaged preemptively. The ship's Evolved SeaSparrow Missiles activated, ESSM, quad-packed in vertical launch cells, 4 missiles per cell. The Zumwalt had 32 cells dedicated to ESSM, 128 missiles available, overkill for 12 speedboats. But Commander Torres wanted certainty. At 2:42 a.m., the Zumwalt fired 12 ESSM, 1 per remaining speedboat. The missiles erupted from vertical launch cells, solid rocket motors ignited. They accelerated to Mach 4. Active radar seekers locked onto targets. The missiles covered 11 miles in 42 seconds. The Houthi fighters saw them coming. White streaks across black sky. Death approaching at 2,000 miles per hour. Some fighters jumped overboard. Some prayed. Some kept their hands on weapons. None survived. 12 missiles, 12 speedboats, 12 direct hits, 47 seconds of flight time. Then silence. The remaining 106 Houthi fighters died in 12 simultaneous explosions. The 3 boats carrying anti-ship missiles exploded in massive fireballs. Their unfired missiles detonated. Secondary explosions lit up the coastline. Visible from 20 miles away, the entire Houthi attack force, gone, annihilated, 0 survivors. Total engagement time, 11 minutes. Houthi boats destroyed, 30. Houthi casualties, 250 killed. Houthi hits on USS Zumwalt, 0. U.S. casualties, 0. U.S. ships damaged, 0. The most one-sided surface engagement in modern naval warfare. Technology versus courage. Technology won, decisively, completely, brutally. Don't miss what comes next. The aftermath reveals why asymmetric warfare cannot defeat modern U.S. naval power, and the numbers will shock you. The USS Zumwalt's radar screen cleared, 0 hostile contacts, the crew secured from general quarters. Damage control teams found nothing to repair. The ship hadn't been touched. Not one bullet hit the hull, not one RPG launched in range, not one anti-ship missile fired. The Houthis died 11 miles away. They never got close enough to be a real threat, just close enough to die. Commander Torres transmitted mission report to U.S. 5th Fleet Headquarters in Bahrain. Engagement complete. All hostile contacts destroyed. Own ship status, green across the board. 0 damage, 0 casualties. Request permission to continue patrol. 5th Fleet responded within minutes. Permission granted. Well done. The USS Zumwalt turned south, resumed freedom of navigation operations. The engagement had been a minor interruption to routine patrol. Nothing more. But on the Yemeni coast, the scene was catastrophic. 30 speedboats destroyed. Debris fields stretched along 12 miles of shoreline. Bodies floating. Wreckage burning. 250 fighters dead. Many were teenagers. Some were experienced militants. All were volunteers who believed martyrdom awaited. What they found was precision-guided death delivered from beyond visual range. No glory, no victory, just obliteration. The Houthi leadership in Sana'a received reports throughout the night. Communication lost with attack force. No boats returning. No survivors reaching shore. By dawn, reconnaissance confirmed the disaster. Total loss, the Houthis' most ambitious operation, their largest assembled force, their best chance at striking American naval power, all destroyed in 11 minutes without landing a single hit. The strategic implications were devastating. The cost analysis tells the brutal story. The Houthis invested approximately $2 million in this operation. 30 speedboats at $20,000 each. Weapons, ammunition, training, logistics, 250 fighters, months of planning. Total expenditure, $2 million. The United States expended approximately $1.2 million in ammunition. 30 AGS rounds at $25,000 each. 12 ESSM at 100,000 each. Total, 1.2 million. The cost exchange slightly favored the Houthis, but the casualty exchange was infinitely one-sided. 250 Houthi fighters dead, 0 Americans killed. That's the only number that matters. You can calculate cost-benefit ratios, you can argue about ammunition expenses, but you cannot argue with body count. The Houthis lost everything. The US Navy lost nothing. Asymmetric warfare failed against overwhelming technological superiority. Subscribe to Navy Force if you want detailed tactical analysis of real naval combat operations. We break down the engagements that shape maritime warfare. Hit that subscribe button now. The tactical lessons are profound. First, coordination matters more than numbers. The Houthis had 30 boats attacking from 3 directions, potentially overwhelming force. But the moment their communications got jammed, coordination collapsed. 30 boats became 30 individual targets, easy to prioritize, easy to engage, easy to destroy. Modern warfare requires real-time communication. Without it, numbers mean nothing. Second, range determines survival. The Houthi speedboats needed to close within 3 miles to fire their anti-ship missiles, within 1 mile for RPGs, within hundreds of meters for small arms. They never reached 3 miles. The USS Zumwalt engaged from 16 miles away. Precision weapons don't need proximity. They need targeting data, and the Zumwalt sensors provided perfect data from beyond Houthi weapon range. The fight was over before the Houthis knew it started. Third, technology creates invulnerability. The Houthi fighters were brave, committed, willing to die. Their courage was never in question. But courage cannot defeat guided munitions, cannot defeat automated fire control, cannot defeat radar that sees through darkness and coordinates precision strikes. The gap between the USS Zumwalt's capabilities and Houthi capabilities was infinite, not just superior, insurmountable. Fourth, stealth matters. The Houthi fighters saw what they thought was a stationary destroyer. Easy target. But the Zumwalt's radar cross-section is so small, they couldn't track it accurately. They aimed for where they thought the ship was, not where it actually was. Even if they'd gotten within range, their targeting would have been guesswork. Stealth technology doesn't make ships invisible, it makes them impossible to target effectively. The regional implications rippled across the Middle East. The Houthis had been attacking commercial shipping for months. Drones, missiles, speedboat harassment. International shipping companies were terrified. Insurance rates skyrocketed. Some tankers avoided the Red Sea entirely. But after September 19th, the calculus changed. The US Navy could protect merchant vessels completely. The Houthis couldn't penetrate American defenses, couldn't hit American ships, couldn't even threaten them effectively. Iran noticed. Tehran backs the Houthis, provides weapons, provides training, provides strategic direction. The September 19th engagement demonstrated that Iranian asymmetric warfare tactics don't work against American technology. Speedboat swarms are suicide missions, not effective tactics. Iran's investment in Houthi capabilities yielded 0 return. 250 dead fighters, 0 American casualties. That's not asymmetric warfare. That's target practice. Saudi Arabia noticed. They've been fighting the Houthis for years, ground combat, airstrikes, naval blockades, with mixed results. Then the US Navy destroyed the Houthis' entire attack force in 11 minutes. No ground troops, no close air support. Just one destroyer executing automated fire control solutions. The Saudis immediately requested information on purchasing similar technology. If one US destroyer could do that, imagine what Saudi Arabia could accomplish with similar capabilities. Egypt noticed. The Suez Canal's revenues depend on Red Sea shipping. Houthi attacks threatened international commerce, but American naval presence restored confidence. Within 2 weeks, shipping volumes increased. Insurance rates dropped. Egypt's economy benefited directly from the USS Zumwalt's 11-minute engagement. Sometimes military power creates economic value instantly. Israel noticed they face similar asymmetric threats. Hamas, Hezbollah, small boats, drones, swarm attacks. The September 19th engagement proved that modern technology can defeat these tactics completely. Israel requested tactical briefings, shared lessons learned. The Americans accommodated. Allied security cooperation strengthened through shared learning from combat operations. The Houthi propaganda response was desperate. State media claimed heroic resistance against American aggression, showed footage of speedboats launching, never showed footage of speedboats exploding, claimed significant damage inflicted on enemy warship, provided zero evidence because no evidence existed. The USS Zumwalt sailed away undamaged. The Houthis' propaganda couldn't hide strategic failure. What's your assessment of asymmetric warfare tactics after this engagement? Type A if you think they're still viable. Type B if you think technology makes them obsolete. Comment your analysis. But Houthi fighters on the ground knew the truth. 250 men launched, 0 returned, 30 boats departed, 0 survived. The attack force was annihilated so quickly that some Houthis still on shore watched it happen. They saw boats explode in the distance, saw the sudden flashes, heard the delayed thunder of explosions. They knew their comrades died achieving nothing. That knowledge spreads. That knowledge demoralizes. That knowledge prevents future attacks. The USS Zumwalt proved its design philosophy. The ship cost $3 billion. Critics called it too expensive, too complicated, too specialized for high-end warfare. But September 19th demonstrated that high-end technology works just as effectively against low-end threats. The same sensors that tracked Chinese missiles tracked Houthi speedboats. The same weapons that would engage Russian aircraft engaged rebel fighters. Flexibility through capability, value through versatility. The advanced gun system vindicated its controversial development. Each AGS round cost $25,000. Critics claimed it was too expensive for routine fire support, but against speedboat swarms, the cost was justified. 30 rounds, 30 kills, no wasted ammunition, perfect accuracy. The expensive rounds eliminated targets that cheaper weapons might have missed. Sometimes, precision is worth the price. The ESSM demonstrated why missile defense depth matters. The Zumwalt carries 128 ESSM. It used 12. 96% remained available. Against a larger threat, that depth would be critical. Against the Houthis, it was overkill. But overkill guarantees mission success. Better to have excess capability than insufficient firepower. Commander Torres received commendation from the Chief of Naval Operations. Her crew's performance was flawless, calm under pressure, perfect execution, 0 mistakes. This is the standard the U.S. Navy maintains, every sailor trained, every system maintained, every procedure practiced. When combat comes, performance is automatic. September 19th was just another day at work. The families of Houthi fighters received no official notification. Yemen's chaos means no formal casualty reporting. Some families still believe their sons or brothers are alive, missing, maybe captured. The truth is simpler and crueler. They're dead, killed 11 miles off the coast. Bodies probably never recovered. Just another casualty of asymmetric warfare against an overwhelmingly superior force. International maritime law experts analyzed the engagement. Was it proportional? Was it justified? The answers were clear. Yes on both counts. The Houthis launched an armed attack against a U.S. warship. The destroyer responded with necessary force to eliminate the threat. Every action was defensive. Every target was hostile. Every casualty was enemy combatant. Legally clean, morally justified, tactically perfect. The Red Sea returned to relative calm. Commercial shipping resumed normal operations. The Houthis launched no more speedboat attacks. They learned what happens when courage meets technology, when determination meets precision, When martyrdom meets guided munitions, the lesson cost them 250 lives, but it probably saved thousands more, because after September 19th, no one wanted to attack American warships. If you found this breakdown valuable, like this video, share it, and subscribe to Navy Force for daily military analysis that goes deeper than headlines. Hit that notification bell. The USS Zumwalt continued its patrol for 3 more weeks. No incidents, no attacks, no hostile contacts. The ship's mere presence deterred aggression. That's what $3 billion of technology accomplishes. Not just victory in combat. Prevention of combat through overwhelming capability. Deterrence through demonstrated power. 17 minutes, 250 Houthi fighters dead, 1 U.S. destroyer untouched. That's the mathematics of modern naval warfare. Courage without technology is just bravery waiting to die. Numbers without coordination is just targets waiting for engagement. Asymmetric warfare without capability parity is just suicide with extra steps. The Red Sea remembers September 19, 2025, the day asymmetric warfare died against American naval power. 30 speedboats thought they could swarm a destroyer. They thought numbers would overwhelm defenses. They thought martyrdom awaited. What they found was precision death delivered from beyond visual range. No glory, no victory. Just quick, clean annihilation by weapons they never saw coming. This is what happens when you challenge the U.S. Navy with inferior weapons and hope. Hope that defenses will be overwhelmed. Hope that some boats will get through. Hope that martyrdom means victory. But hope isn't strategy. Technology is. Training is. Precision is. America has all 3. The Houthis had none. September 19th proved that gap in the most brutal way possible. 1 destroyer, 17 minutes. 250 enemies eliminated, 0 friendly casualties. That's American naval dominance. That's what $3 billion of cutting-edge technology accomplishes. That's why the U.S. Navy controls the seas. Not through numbers, not through bravery, through overwhelming technological superiority that turns courage into catastrophe and hope into funerals. The lesson is clear. Don't challenge American naval power unless you're prepared for complete annihilation. The Houthis learned that lesson 250 times over.